So I'm going to hand this over to Anna Kinsani in a few minutes. Anna has been working with Dolphin Tank and Springboard Enterprises for many, many years. We've been friends for so long. Springboard Enterprises and Women Investing Women Digital have been very good friends. They've been mentors, and we've traveled the world together. Just awesome group of women. They've helped close to 1,000 women entrepreneurs around the world, raised over $20 billion over the past 20 years. Just really good human beings. So if you're a women entrepreneur looking for funding or looking for mentorship and support, you can definitely apply to their various programs and Dolphin Tanks. And this is our first time doing a Dolphin Tank virtually. We did one in Sweden together. We've been in South Africa together, New York, LA. So it's very exciting to be doing this with you today, Anna. So thank you so much for having all of this back, and take it away.
Great. Thank you, Anu. And of course, we are so thankful to have had your friendship and partnership over the years with Springboard Enterprises. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Kinsani, VP of Community and Partnerships at Springboard Enterprises. Our organization has been around 20 years running programs for women-led tech and healthcare companies with the whole mission of gaining more access to, or more access for venture-backable women-led companies. Like I said, over the past 20 years, we've supported 819 companies now who are now all Springboard alumni. Rachel Payne on the panel as one of them. And we're continuing to run programs in digital health, life sciences, fashion tech, general technologies. You can check us out at sb.co for more about us. And our network is global, though we are based in Washington, D.C. Our signature pitch program is the Dolphin Tank. And some of you may get the reference, some of you may not, but there is a show in the US called Shark Tank, where investors are very mean to entrepreneurs and tell them whether they deserve funding or not. I know in other countries it's called Dragon's Den. They have other names for it. But the point with the Dolphin Tank is that this is a opportunity to build community around women entrepreneurs to help them grow and scale. So this is not a competition. This is more, how can we help you? We are presenting these fantastic entrepreneurs to pitch their companies. And then we get to ask questions, give feedback, give advice, and really let you be a little bit more vulnerable with what your needs are, what are your asks, and how can we help you get to that next stage of business. So very excited for this format. Like I said, we do this usually all around the world and across the US, but for the last 9 months, we've been virtual. And we're excited to partner with Amplifying Her Voice and be at the summit with this format. So before we get started with the presentations, I just wanted to introduce our panel. I know many of you are new. Rachel Payne, if you could just introduce yourself briefly.
Hello, I'm Rachel Payne. I'm Managing Director and Head of Technology and Innovation at Full Cycle Climate Partners, a private equity fund that's focused on investing in climate solutions. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur, having founded and launched 4 companies, all of which successfully exited. And I was a senior executive at Google for 8 years on the founding team of Google.org. Thank you very much.
And Daria Allen-Attar.
Hello, I'm Daria Allen-Attar. I'm CEO of Founders Network. It is a group that's focused on really supporting women entrepreneurs and connecting them to the resources that they need to grow their companies into scalable businesses. I'm delighted to be with you here today. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, Anna.
Fantastic. And how we'll go, each company will have 3 minutes to pitch, and then we'll have a conversation, as we say, for 10 minutes after that, and then we'll move on to the next company. So we are going to start with Zeynep Durrelli with Tink, and you may start whenever you are ready, Zeynep.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm actually here representing Digital Course, not only Tink, but our journey started back in 2016 when we established Tink. Tink is an abbreviation for Technology and Humanity Colleges, and it's a private K-12 school that I'm a founder of, and it's human-centered, and we actually try to bring people up to scratch with the entrepreneurial skills and technology and digital skills. And over the past years, we've gained, past 4 years that we've been in physical K-12 education, we have gained invaluable experience creating and running a leading K-12 education institution. And TIC became a member of the European Training Foundation's International Network and has been also selected as one of the most innovative schools by the T4 Foundation. And during that time, what we did was we created educational IP on content and digital delivery methods with the help of our 40 plus teachers and 1,000 students. In 2020, as the schools were shutting down due to COVID-19, we decided to digitize our content and provide all our existing knowledge to a wider audience. So since July 2020, we have an online platform, a hybrid online learning platform that we call Digital Kurs, which means digital course in Turkish. And it's an online tutoring platform that offers a hybrid learning experience with synchronous and asynchronous content. So what we do is, because we have an amazing network of teachers, amazingly well-trained teachers, and because we can train teachers as a physical school, we bring that on board and provide this content, amazing content that we have as an experience and as a monthly package to learners throughout Turkey from K to 12. And we launched in September, and every month we're seeing 100% growth in the number of our students. And we're currently, today we were in discussions and we have come to an agreement to partner up with one of the leading artists in Turkey who owns, his name is Mert Fırat, but it's irrelevant to you guys. But so we will be forming a partnership with some of the very famous artists, movie stars and musicians, and they will be helping us promote our online platform. We're going to utilize the same mindset that Anu has brought forward, which is as you learn, you earn. And I thank her for this vision, because what we're going to do from now on is our freemium content. You're going to get 1 month free on our platform for the asynchronous content. And as a result of learning, you're going to earn free concert tickets for some of the most coveted events, concert and theater tickets, because of our partnership with this team. And these artists are going to come online and provide online free seminars to our learners and their parents, because we want to increase our network effect. And that's one of the things that we plan to do. We hope to in Turkey, there's 17 million students that are in K-12 education. We believe we can target around 2 million of these students because of their digital families' economic situation. And we hope to attain 300,000 returning customers within 4 years. And at the moment, we're at 1,150 students. The way that I was able to meet was through the Islamic Development Bank's Transform Fund competition that we were one of the receivers of. And it's one of the things that we have been able to win as a part of the Digital Kurs, this online edtech platform that we're trying to market across Turkey. And hopefully we will be able to transform education as we know it in our country, because we believe that if we can use the right technological tools and the right content, with the amazing help of teachers, mentor teachers within classroom environments, we can democratize access to quality education across the country. And this is what we hope to do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Zeynep. Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to start it off by saying I think you set up the story of what you've created and what it is now very well, talking about in-person, turn to digital, and then how you're going to scale it. So I really liked how you structured that. Just to kind of kick it off, my first question is, what's the cost structure or kind of business model around revenue stream?
Yes. So it costs, we have two packages. One of them is the basic package. And that basic package costs $3 per month per user. It's the asynchronous content. It's just the content that we have donated from Think, because it's obviously cost us a lot of money to prepare the content, but we've transformed it into digital course. And that one, we're going to do a freemium model where you get 1 month free and you subscribe to 11 months. The premium one is the one where we add on the physical lessons with the synchronous content, which is where we differentiate ourselves, because no one else has this capability to bring their physical school management know-how with the online world of EdTech. And that's where I think we create value, and that's our USP. But it's more difficult to sell that. So we want to reach masses with the really cheap version, which cheap in terms of it's very high quality content. But in terms of affordability, we believe a lot of people can afford it. And then the other one is it costs $54 per month. Still, it's very, very reasonable. And you get 40 hours of live lessons as a result of that. So we have two packages, and we want to do upsell and cross-sell. So you sign up for one, you'll be able to sign up for another one. You can sign up for two basic packages, because we have created, for example, a technology track, a humanities track, an entrepreneurship track, different tracks for different needs. And for the basic package, you get 50% discount if you sign up for a second package. So you get the second package for $1.4, $1.3. It's so affordable. And this new partnership that we have now finally agreed upon today, after with some of the most famous and most well-regarded artists of Turkey, it's going to be a change maker for us. It's pivotal, because it is their help, and they will help us amplify. Because one of the main costs is obviously the other cost is obviously marketing cost, and if we can lower that, and our cost per acquisition, if we can lower that down, then it becomes an incredibly profitable business, which is sustainable, scalable, repeatable.
Yeah, amazing. I'll look to Rachel. Rachel, what stood out? What was really compelling in Zeynep's pitch?
I always admire when entrepreneurs are able to identify a need in the market and adjust their business to serve that need in a scalable and sustainable way. And I'm really impressed with your ability to really transition to a digital platform in such a nimble way, with an offering that makes education more accessible to more people. Education right now is under so much pressure all over the world because of the pandemic, and a lot of families are struggling and children are falling behind. So I think you're really, there's a lot of things as an entrepreneur that you can control, but one thing you cannot control is market timing. But if you can shift your business to meet the needs of the market at a critical moment, then you have an opportunity to lead the way in the market, prove what's possible, but also you're having these other benefits because you're focusing on education, which is so critical. So that really stood out to me, because it's the sign of a good entrepreneurial leader to understand how to shift a business in the midst of some pretty challenging headwinds. I also like the fact that you're tapping into popular culture and, the sort of celebrity power of some of these stars as an entry point to get people in the door. And there are a number of examples all over the world of how that has worked. But there is an online platform here in the US. There's a very successful and venture-funded platform called Masterclass, and they're bringing in experts to teach their expertise. And I think what you're doing in terms of harnessing that celebrity talent and making them accessible and helping them share their expertise with an audience can give you both sides of that equation. It gives you the appeal, the celebrity power, but it also makes those who aspire perhaps to be in that field an opportunity to learn from the best. So I think that's a really smart model.
Yeah. And Zenep, I hope we didn't lose you there. Daria, what about you? Anything that stood out and or anything you want to learn more about?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I love your idea. I love the way that you presented it. And I think that, here in the US, we have been really challenged with online education for the last year. So I have 3 children who have been doing online education for almost 12 months now. And so I think that the hybrid model that you propose is really smart, because we've learned that online only is not working very well, but there are also adaptations that can be made to refine it. And I think that online is here to stay in some mode for K through 12 education. So I think you're brilliant to adapt and pivot. I love the idea, as Rachel said, of providing incentives and bringing in cultural celebrities to inspire young people to join. I did have some questions for you. I'm fascinated by how you have, in a short time, gotten, what did you say, 1150 students? That's very impressive, right? And you said that 2 million students in Turkey would have the capacity, the internet bandwidth, the computer to be able to engage in this online education. Can you tell us a little more about the demographic of the 1150 that came in and why they joined, in this early stage? So,
Aya, thank you. Brilliant question. I'm sorry, when I was presenting, I have to admit, I got a little distracted by the messages that are scrolling down on the side. I should have mentioned all of these, but thank you very much for bringing this up. And Rachel, thank you very much for your comment on masterclass. I hadn't thought about that, and I will definitely look into that. So I really appreciate it. So one of the things that was critical for us in Turkey, we have 17 million students within K-12 education. Out of that, around 1 million students are in private schools. So the rest, 16 million, are in public schools. Mm-hmm. And out of all of those students, out of the 17 million, 5 million of those students are based in Istanbul, the city that I'm based in. Mm-hmm. And that's where my school is, the physical school that I own and I operate and I founded is based in. But one of the things is there are a lot of platforms that cater to private schools that have tried the B2B business model. And frankly, as someone who is running a school, I don't really like working with them unless it's our own content. I don't want to give my our data to anybody else. So I think there is a huge barrier to entry there, and being able to access the students directly without going through the schools, I think is a really amazing opportunity if you can manage it. So for us, when we started this business, we wanted to be able to reach out to students outside of Istanbul and public school students. I use public school in the context of the US, not in the UK. Mm-hmm. And so and we have seen, which is amazing for us, 72% of our students are from public schools and 63% are from outside of Istanbul. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing, because I know that those students need us more than the students who are based in Istanbul. Mm-hmm. Because we're telling them we're bringing you the best teachers that are available, because it's a matter of geographical access. If you're based in a city that's, on the eastern part of Turkey, you're not going to have direct access to some of the top quality teachers who are based in the main cities across Turkey. And that's one of the other tools of democratizing democratizing education through technology. Mm-hmm. And the data that we have so far, obviously it's very limited because we want to go up to 300,000 students, and we have only 1,150, give or take students. The number goes up and down, on a daily basis, but somewhere around there. But the fact that so many of them are, for us, what we define as the blue ocean market is quite inspirational for us. We've been able to tap into that market.
That's wonderful.
Fantastic. And Zena, could you remind us of your ask, or kind of what you're looking for from like in your next stages of growth? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah. So we're fundraising, not because we need to fundraise, because we bootstrapped, and right now the system is working. But the reason why we're fundraising is we want to become we want to hopefully become a unicorn coming out of this region of the world, where we transform education as we know it. We utilize our physical school management know-how and the customer experience there, because it's a very different experience to the one that you have online, and bring together our capabilities, because I have an amazing team. They're not women, so they're not with us, but an amazing team, some of whom are female, some of whom are male, but some from Pearson, others from Intel. So I have an amazing team of people who are helping us develop this product and to make sure that the technology is stellar and that the content is amazing. But one of the things that we want to do is, if we want to become a unicorn, we need to fundraise at this stage, so that we become appealing to the institutional investors. And if you can, obviously, I realize one thing. I live in Turkey, and Turkey is politically a little bit challenging. And that brings together within itself challenges for some of the venture capital firms. I have been approached by one of the largest families in Azerbaijan. Again, politically challenging country. Yes, I understand that. But they own and operate the only international school in Azerbaijan, and they asked me to join their board. And they've asked me if we would be interested in taking digital course to Azerbaijan. And so one of the things that we want to do is we want to increase our geographical hold in order to diversify the risk a bit, the political risk of being in Turkey. And so we have to ask, if I may have to ask, one of them is if you know any other countries that would be interested, and partners that would be interested in utilizing this type of platform and the content and the business model that we have, in order to diversify the political risk that we have. And the other one is if you know of any venture capital firms that would be okay to invest in a business based in Turkey. Because Turkey is the market that I know best, although I was educated in the US and I lived in London for over 10 years and worked there. But still, my main network is based in Turkey, and now I'm known as an educational thought leader in the country. So I want to utilize this media capability in order to turn this into numbers, so that's Abraj, yes, but Abraj came out of Turkey. Abraj is no longer in Turkey. Didn't they go bust?
Anu, you're on mute.
Had this problem all morning. Abraj, I don't know what exactly happened, but they did have a Turkey-specific entity. I haven't followed recently. A couple years ago, I think you're right.
And I did want to, Anu, if you wanted to follow up with anything that stood out or comments on the ask for Zainab.
Yeah, so we just did a whole session on global women's entrepreneurship that both Ajita and Zainab were on. So we are talking to Zainab about scaling her technology into the Royal Kingdom of Bhutan. So we're already working on that. So I got my question answered, because there is a small kingdom in the middle of the Himalayas that's like ready to test out what she has, and we're going to continue that conversation after today is over.
Yeah, and especially with just all the other women, obviously, at the summit and speakers, I'm sure many more connections will be made. So thank you. That is all the time we have. But Zainab, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you have a question, Rachel?
Well, I did. I wanted to ask her some details about her round, because it's hard to recommend a fund without knowing how much they're raising, what stage they're at, like all the specifics.
Well, perfect. We can connect her to you and she can follow up individually.
Okay.
I have more questions as well.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll connect you each with her, and I'm sure she'd greatly benefit from that.
There she goes.
There she goes. She's answering in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Great. And up next, we have Ajita Shah with Frontier Markets.
Okay, I'm bringing her up.
Wonderful.
Another rock star. Here we go. Welcome back.
Thank you. It was actually really nice to hear Zainab kind of talk about herself in a more setup structure. That was actually really wonderful. Hi, everyone. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll start.
Whenever you are, you are good to go.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to get in pitch mode for a minute, right? Okay. So in the last 15 years, like I've worked in 10,000 villages in India, witnessing a rapid shift in the market from like internet connectivity to rising incomes of rural customers. It's really a new rural India where people want to invest in smartphones and appliances and quality solutions and in their futures. Unfortunately, this is not being addressed fast enough or at the required scale. While hundreds of brands want to reach this market, there's already 500 million rural customers that are not getting access to quality solutions. So at Frontier Markets, where I'm the founder CEO, we connect curated products and services to rural customers through our network of women entrepreneurs in technology. So our solution really focuses on 3 critical stakeholders: rural customers who get access to customized quality solutions at their doorstep, helping them earn income and save money; rural women who become digitally enabled and economically empowered; and product and service companies who get to access new markets that they couldn't reach before. Look, rural customers in India are not yet digitally savvy enough to buy online. What we've invested in is rural women to become our digital enablers, Saral Jeevan Sahelis, who use our assisted commerce platform to bridge this divide. Think of them as a digital shop with a trusted face. We help them leverage their biggest asset, social capital, and provide them with a voice-enabled mobile app that has been designed with them and for them. It's her end-to-end commerce tool. She can access products, generate demand, and coordinate deliveries. The app is actually connected to a robust CRM system that helps Frontier Markets deliver products to customers, as well as leverage their data to generate insights that better curate products and influence brands to make better connects to the market. This end-to-end platform works well. Because of her, rural customers access everything. From clean energy to agri to finance to home needs, she's a one-stop shop solution. Today, 10,000 Sahelis have helped over 500 million customers purchase 2.2 million solutions, and they've earned $15 million in the process. Our team has over 100 years of combined experience in rural India, from distribution to marketing to microfinance across the value chain. The opportunity to scale this effort is massive, and the need is now. 165 million rural women are just like our Sahelis who want income opportunities at home. 500 million customers want better access to products, and their companies designed to create great solutions to leverage a $300 billion annual spend that is underutilized. And we have a solution that works. Frontier Markets has proven its model at scale profitably. We actually grew 3 times during COVID because of the rise of demand and our ability to respond to it. We're raising $6 million to expand to 5 states in India to generate $100 million of revenue by 2024. We will build an enormous database of 10 million rural households who'll leverage this platform to tell us their product needs. And we'll be able to influence product innovation from climate to energy to agri to more, with 100,000 women that will be economically in charge. What we were really trying to do is build strong women leaders and a voice for a rural customer using digital innovation and access to driving impact and prosperity in the value chain. Thanks.
Ooh, fantastic pitch, Ajita. I really appreciate all of the statistics. And I always say, using statistics or like really clear examples can describe 5 minutes worth of talk into a couple sentences. So really appreciate you doing that for this pitch. Also, I really appreciate you mentioning the team. I think, it's super important always mentioning, why you're the best one for this role, but also who's there building this with you. My question was about, barrier to scale, and also for you to mention your ask.
Yeah. So barrier to scale would be, so what's interesting about our team's experience is that we've done the hard work and COVID only exacerbated our innovation, right? So we actually spent a lot of time in the last 1 year designing a model where we can leverage that the 165 million women that I was talking about are linked to NGOs that we partner with that already have established incredible ecosystems. So what's been amazing in the last 1 year is they're like, can you please create this ALE program where we are? Can you just leverage our infrastructure, give us the technology? So we know, and we spend so much time because of our team's experience in working in rural India. We know the markets. When people go, UP is different from Bihar versus Rajasthan versus Jharkhand, 10,000 villages for me is across the entire country. So we know the markets quite well. So the hard work is done. It's capital that allows us to kind of take the unit economics to a scale and a different level. And I think that's probably the larger barrier. What's been interesting with India's evolution is it's no longer infrastructure. It's no longer is 4G connectivity going to be available? So some of the critical barriers that used to be there 5 years ago are no longer there, which is really interesting for us to kind of evolve. And actually, with Rachel being a founder of Google.org, it's so funny to me because Internet Sathis, that was designed by Google, is a game changer, right? There are so many women today that are so critically connected, but are looking for income opportunities. So we see a bridge that can actually make this happen in a critical point. My ask is twofold. One is, of course, looking at partners that understand the value of women, technology, and access in rural India that can actually help us raise the capital that we need. But the second is, look, what's been really exciting is innovation for designing for change. So brands that are actually now eager to create true impact at a large scale, we'd love for them to leverage our platform because we have been partnering with corporate partners and helping them design for the poor. And we essentially charge them kind of a go-to-market pilot fee that allows us to invest in our women. But at the same time, imagine tomorrow when I can give a data point where, 10,000 or 100,000 or 50,000 customers go, here's what I want to spend my $5 on for this pain point. And you're basically talking about innovating in a very different way to start designing for change, where I've seen in my last 20 years, it doesn't happen, right? We pitch, product companies pitch for the poor, but they don't necessarily design and scale for the poor, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do we use our platform to influence that? And I think that's going to be an interesting opportunity for us to kind of take forward as we get bigger and leverage our data and be that influencer.
Yep, that's amazing. Anu, why don't we start with you this time? Things that stood out. I know you know Ajita well, but anything you want to point at that you thought she did well or questions you still have?
I have my mic off this time. First time today. Awesome. So I'm a huge fangirl of Ajita. I've known her for a while, and we just had our Bhutan session. So again, I was like, let's go test this in Bhutan. Let's go see if it works. Let's get some proof points and tweak the model and make it better. And so I'm like one of her biggest fans. I want to connect you to some investors, Ajita. That's like kind of what I do for you in life. I've got some more lined up my sleeve, and they're in India. I think you should start talking to some private equity investors and just get in front of them because they're in that ecosystem. And if they're not the right ones, they will definitely put you in the direction of people who understand the market, understand the tech, understand how you're going to scale. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do for you and start, connecting the dots with the people that have the money.
You saw the shift in the pitch from Sharjah days of this thing that you noticed last week, right? Yeah. We went from a poverty story to an opportunity story.
Correct.
I love that.
Correct. So now they're not, right? You're not helping them, they're helping you. So ultimately it's
women as assets.
Correct. Women as assets. And we're going to talk to you about tokenizing shortly. And we've just started this tokenizing conversation. We've also started talking about how we're going to collaborate with our mobile app. So Ajita has a digital app, and we have APIs that can think into what she's doing. So on a technical front, I'm gonna work with her directly starting next week and bringing in my technical powerhouses to see how we can scale her tech and do some integrations to take it to the next.
Yeah, and Anna, that's probably the other ask, right? Like what's been really interesting for us is that like we've been a very what's the right word? Rural execution group, right? For 20 years. And with like India's transition of digitization literally like overnight, there's clearly like more UX, UI design, there's better data analytics tools. There's like, there are better things that frankly our team today is like good at executing and helping rural women like embrace technology for the first time, but we're then equally unsavvy, if that makes sense, right? So like we're like literally still sitting there going like, I know that there's ways to take our manual to automation. There's a way to kind of take some of the things that we're doing today to another level. And maybe that's the other key ask if I think about this on a tech world. So I always look at Anu when she goes, well, I can design this for this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, damn, that's amazing because I don't even know how to start. So I think that's probably the other like area.
And it's great. You know, you can be empowering all these women on their first steps into technology as you're, you know, building your advancements on that. So fantastic. Daria, I want to get to you, see what stood out or what you'd like to learn more about.
I thought you did a really great pitch and love the fact that you kind of presented the opportunity, a bit about the history and the long-term vision. I think you did give us an ask in there in the numbers that you presented and what you're looking to build. And I love the fact that you're really thinking about this as designing for the poor. I've looked at many different companies that are looking to build or design for the poor where there can be a real transformational opportunity, but they fail to really develop the revenue model. Okay. So that's where I've been challenged. But for you, I thought that what I was missing was really a more of a fundamental, you know, the origin story. 20 years active in rural India, and you saw the digital opportunity. But what was that story, that transition story? Just so I have a emotional connection to your pitch is really what I was looking for. I thought you did a tremendous job on all the data and numbers front and presenting the, you know, revenue model, the goal and all that, but I was missing that emotional connection really. Maybe that was just me, but a little story. And I'd love to hear that now. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you know, it's just hard to put all this in 3 minutes, right? And I've been looking at my own transition as a social entrepreneur, which I really proudly define myself as. But, the first 10 years that I spent time in India from 2005 to 2012, India was very different, right? The population hasn't changed, right? It's always been like 500 million, I would even say 800 million people scattered around 700,000 villages that were stupidly disconnected, right, from the world. And you were talking about challenges like energy infrastructure, road infrastructure, and you were talking about women that were like bright-eyed, that were the biggest investment the microfinance industry focused on. And that was my background. Like I spent all this time in the microfinance space, but I also spent all this time in the microfinance space saying that like financial services cannot be the end-all be-all solution when you're thinking about all the different challenges that come of the risks of everyday life, right? And so why we call our women Saral Jeevan Sahelis is we say we're like easy life friends, saying that you have a challenging life and how do we find complementary solutions to address it. So as a company, we started off with like clean energy products. We started with like solar lights. We started with like cook stoves. We started with things that were just kind of dealing with the infrastructure. The transition that we've seen in the last, I think, 5 years is beautiful and also, again, daunting because there's that gap is that like, you know, you have internet connectivity and road connectivity. And if you talk to anybody in India as a government, they'd say, we're 100% electrified. Everything's hunky-dory. And you're like, well, no, it's not, right? So we are kind of looking at that segment of the population, which is still super last mile rural villages, right? Where we're talking about giving women an opportunity that are like, you know, married at the age of 14, right? They're like 35 now. They have like 4 kids. They were never educated in the way that you wanted them to be. They were digitally unconnected, right? And the thing that we harp on is that, like, hello, their social capital is huge. Give them the tools, give them the training, let them work from home, let them be in the village versus forcing them to run out to all these different places, and let them earn real money. And I think that's kind of been our transition, where we've been kind of working for a long time saying, we're going to connect on 3 things. Get these women jobs and income that allows to actually allow them to have the agency that they want in the village that they operate in. These people, these rural families, they need to be looked at as dignified customers versus the rhetoric of poor people should only get as good as they can get. And then let's make it into a marketplace, because look, like, it is a big market. And if we can start sustaining it, suddenly we can finally give our investors a return, but also talk about why impact and blended capital is an important way to go. So that's probably my journey of like how I started, what I saw, pain point, and how I transitioned into doing what I do.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question?
Yeah.
Have you made the connection to the elimination and reduction of human trafficking for women in terms of your business model? Because that is an area that capital is looking to find an economic solution. So I'd love to talk to you further, and I may have an introduction for you if you can make that connection for me.
I'll just leave with one point. I work in Rajasthan. I work in northern states of India, which is the most patriarchal place on earth, and compared to South India, where microfinance was thriving. And one thing I've always learned with my own journey is economic empowerment gives you choices, gives you an opportunity, gives you exits, right? And so in the context of rural India, where I operate, our women stopped 14-year-olds from getting married, right? That's our solution, right? We kind of say that skilling is great, education is great. If you don't give them access to money where they can actually hold their own agency, you're not going to let them escape, right? And so this is kind of where we've been linking all of our impact metrics. So for me, it's like, does my women earn enough to be confident, independent, and powerful? And if that happens, everything changes. So that's kind of, but yeah, happy to talk more about that. Yeah.
And wanted to get to Rachel before we have to wrap up. Questions on your side, or comments on, or responses to her ask as well.
Well, I unlike many other investors, I'm going to say I love the scale of your ambition and just keep going bigger. Because a lot of times women are told they're too ambitious, and you have very bold plans, and you have credibility in your ability to execute against them. So never hesitate, be as bold as you can be. And you have a unique moment to not only provide that bridge to digitization, but to create a new pathway, not out of poverty, but into wealth building and economic security. So just by background, I served on the board of BRAC for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I worked with Acción International across Latin America. And I was one of the teams that brought the Village Phone program from Bangladesh to Uganda. So I understand microfranchises and microfinance deeply. And I agree with you. I was always trying to make the case to, very open-minded people about the need for more microfranchises and other asset building opportunities for women. So I think what you're doing makes a lot of sense. And what I would encourage you to think about, because you don't necessarily have a tech background, is the next frontier of digital product. It really is based on data. And so the more that you're collecting these insights and doing so in a way that is, of course, non-exploitative, but able to inform in a direct way that product development, that is your pitch to VCs. So there's all this other story, which is incredibly valuable and that drives impact. And for impact investors, it's the right story. The minute you're getting into the more traditional VC, you're talking about having unique access to a large growing market that is representative of global demand, and you will be the only holder of critical data. That is a really good angle. And I also think the fact that you have an understanding of the human needs and the social power is a way to amplify not just the value of the data that you're building, but this entire network of incredibly talented and connected women. And so there's a lot of stories here that you can pitch to different types of investors, but don't underestimate the value of the data that you're creating, collecting, and aggregating in order to not drive demand and consumption, but to tailor the offering from brands to their target market in a highly personalized and efficient manner.
Can I just close with one thing, Anna, because I know I'm running out of time, but Rachel, like, I don't know how to tell you that I'm a big fan and I've watched your entire journey. So I was like actually really excited that you're going to be on this panel, because there's one slide that I actually literally pitched to Rajan Anandan literally like 4 days ago. And it was that slide. It was the Imagine If, the power of platform and influencing, leveraging data of the masses and understanding where you're now obviously on a VC side, you're like bidding for the customer, but you're actually look the way that kind of Google operates. But I was kind of going, look at this as impact lens. When you're kind of being able to design for the large, you're looking at this with that lens of, you're right. It's about where the data and where the opportunity comes. And I think, I'd love to separately just share that side of it and how we're looking at what we're trying to do. Because I think that's something that we're still kind of going, it could be so big. It's already big, but how can it get more strategic and tactical in terms of the fund?
Well, also this is where ML and AI come in, where you can create predictive models. And there's a lot, it's a very rich space right now that's also developed quite a bit over the last few years. I had an AI company that I sold in 2018. And I think it's really important to consider how there are certain trends happening in this space with large funders. And that there's a way you could tie into that pretty naturally. I'm happy to connect.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, so good. Such good stuff, Lydia.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you move forward. Yes? Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Ajita. All right. And next up, we have Lois Iuta. Let's get her on screen.
I got her. 1 second. There we go. She should be coming up.
Perfect.
Come on. Nigeria.
Nigeria in the house, in the virtual house.
Africa, can you see this? We're going to Africa. We just left Asia and now we're going to Africa.
I love this around the world thing. I'm having both flashbacks to all these places and a desire to go because I'm missing it.
I agree. I know. Talking to each of the women, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been to your country in so long. I want to go back. It sounds like so forever away until I can actually do that, but one day.
Here comes Lois. Can everyone see?
Hi,
Hi. Welcome.
Hi, Daria. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Lois, you may begin your pitch when you are ready.
Yeah. Yeah, it all started in 2016 when I realized that students in the rural areas do not have access to power supply. And because of that, they fail their exams due to inadequate power supply. My name is Lois Iuta. I'm the Chief Executive Director of e-Ability Platform. We sell solar-powered school bags for 80 million students in the rural areas in Nigeria because they have a need for energy and power supply. Our product is unique, it's different because it lightens the world of students in terms of darkness. It also reduces exams failure and also improves the health of this student due to the usage of lanterns and charcoal. It's not good for their health. And there are 80 million plus potential customers for our product. The market opportunity is huge because we have 85 million plus, 85% plus in the country that are students in the rural areas. We charge $15 for each backpack because of its uniqueness and lasting storage of energy for our customers. We reach our customers by physical contact, and we also project sales of $100,000 in a year. We need connections to investors and mentors to set up a center that will enable persons with disabilities who produce these solar-powered school bags to be able to produce more bags, empower persons with disabilities economically, socially, educationally, and change their healthy lifestyle. Our asks are simple. We need advice, we need resources, and we need connections to investors and mentors. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lois. And thank you for being just such a joy to have on camera with. Question, so about mentors and your ask for mentorship and advice, what is your ideal mentor, or what do you need the most help with? Or if I could refer you a mentor, what would they know? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I asked for mentorship because we are still at the idea stage. We have not done so much. And mentors will be able to guide us, my team and I, on how to do it successfully, on how to become expert professionals on this, and also move to other regions in the country. Mm-hmm. So we need mentorship.
Got it. So on experts in the energy space and also in scalability within the region.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Anu, why don't we start with you on, I know you know Lois as well. What questions do you have or feedback? Oh, you're muted. It's $1.
I'm really struggling with this. Yes. So what would be incentive, like government incentives and programs? Have you partnered with institutional funders to date? Are there any?
Yes, in 2016, there was an opportunity for startups to compete, and I applied. So out of 4,000 plus applications, they selected the best 30 companies, and our company was lucky to be one, and the only disabled company in that competition. Mark Zuckerberg was there, and we were invited to the president's office. He spoke to us, and we also got a presidential handshake. So yes, that was one of the programs we have done so far, and because of that, we moved from one stage to the other. In 2017, I became a young global leader of the World Economic Forum, the first woman with disability from Africa to get such an award. And so many awards that we got. Thank you.
So I just put a name in the chat thread. This is somebody who I was in contact with a few years ago. Pule Takobang is his name. He started the Africa Angels Network. They're a Pan-Africa Angel Network. And at some point I was involved in their fund, but then they restructured. They invested in Andela. That's one of the African companies. I believe it's South African. So I would and they have an interest in women as well. So I'm just going to look him up on LinkedIn. I'm going to send you that contact info. You and I are already in contact. So I would say there are some African angel networks that have just started, and I'm just not sure if they're Nigeria focused. Are you operating anywhere outside of Nigeria, or just Nigeria right now?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Rachel, have you done much work in either Nigeria or the African region, or actually just?
I led Google Africa and building infrastructure across the continent. So I was a country manager, a regional lead for East Africa, but I helped set up our Google Nigeria, Senegal, and Ghana operations. So I have a lot of contacts in West Africa, but I want to understand what stage you're at, because I'm trying to get a sense of what type of capital would be most helpful for you. You mentioned that you're looking to grow and build, but I'm wondering, can you just tell me, like, what has been built to date? Do you have a prototype? Do you have customers? Do you have you had any funding? I know you mentioned that you're talking to some government groups. Maybe you could just give me a clearer sense of like where you are today on your trajectory.
Yes, we have a prototype, and that was why we were selected in 2016. Out of 4,000 plus, 30 finalists were selected during the Aso Villa Demo Day. There's a prototype already. We don't have funding yet. We are expecting, we've been applying, and I believe very soon we're going to have one.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now.
And you're looking for a variety of funding, right? It could be grant capital, it could be revenue, it could be angel funding. I'm not sure, I know a bunch of VCs in Africa. Sometimes they're very focused on revenue. And so I just want to sort of check in on, how might we try and help you get revenue in the door as well, just to kind of get that going. Sometimes they tend to be a little bit risk averse, and they try to look at revenue or ways to collateralize in order to provide financing. And I think what Anu said about an angel network could be very helpful. Look, you're solving a critical problem. I came at this issue from a variety of vantage points, looking at it from a franchise standpoint, looking at building large-scale renewable energy capacity on the continent when I was leading Google Africa, trying to make energy investments to address energy poverty in particular regions. It's a really hard challenge, and I applaud you for doing this. It's so important, and it does have massive ramifications for human health, particularly because of indoor stoves and, of course, deforestation and climate change. So I think what you're working on is spot on, and it's a really critical area. But I wonder if, because of your stage being at the prototype level, it might be good to find impact investors, or maybe there are some grants that you could apply for that could help bridge you just to get to a point where you have some revenue coming in, and then you can go for more institutional capital. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
And I'd be
Rachel.
happy to brainstorm with you to think about who those sources are.
Yeah, the fantastic idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was just going to say too, I know you mentioned a little bit about the impact and the air quality and just how it's best for the planet, but it would be great, maybe a future pitch, to include a little bit more about what your product will do in terms of impact. So what is the real impact that it will have when it gets to all of these people? That's just a comment.
Yes, the impact will reduce examination failure among students in the rural areas because they have an option of energy supply. Be able to read their books at night, do their homework, and be able to pass their exams successfully. So we are going to have successful students, more students graduating in schools, and it's going to create economic empowerment from those that are producing this solar powered backpack.
Yeah.
It's also going to help in their healthy lifestyle, because they are going to move from using lanterns and charcoal and depend on solar energy.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Lois. Daria.
So I think that you're fantastic. I love your energy. I love your focus. The fact that you are connecting, it seems, a disability-oriented group with a need that has climate and health challenges. The idea of the solar backpack is an amazing idea, and I hope that you can scale it. I think that you need to focus on getting grant capital. Grant capital will allow you to solve the problem that you've had. You had a prototype in 2016, but you didn't have the money to scale to bring those to market. And so we need to find a connection for you that will allow you to write for grant capital. And so the focus of your ask for a grant is got to be, obviously, the social and educational impact is key, but I believe that the health impact and the climate focus, if you can build data around that, will be a driver of a successful ask on grants. So I think that would be the connection that we can make for you that's most critical.
Wow, that was great, Daria. Thank you so much for the fantastic advice, and I'll keep to your word. Yeah.
With us, Lois, because there's a variety of ways we can help, and I think it just needs a little bit of shaping of the story to tell it better. There's a lot of really good academic literature around the multiple co-benefits of providing small-scale distributed renewable energy to villages that are off the grid. There's really good data out there about this already, and I think that there are big funders who are looking at this space in a really serious way.
Yeah, and it looks like we have some connections through Springboard as well. I know our president just put into the chat some resources specifically for Nigeria and a contact there. I know we know some other women in the solar space as well. So we'd be happy to follow up with you, Lois, after this. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, we have Yashi Soge with I Technologies.
Here she is.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi, thank you so much. It was really incredible listening to all the wonderful ladies and their amazing solutions. So I am an electrical engineer, and I started by working in Bhutan Telecom, where I was part of the mobile network that set the team that set up the first mobile network in the country. So while I was working there, I found that, there were no like IT companies in Bhutan, that all the IT services and support that we needed in Bhutan was coming from India and other countries at a huge cost. And there was no knowledge transfer to Bhutanese at all. And that really concerned me a lot, because even the support was not very consistent and forthcoming. As a result, the cost of the company was huge. Nobody was gaining anything. So when I left the telecom company, I set up my own IT company with, I was a founder, and I'm still running it 13 years later. But I really have a problem of scaling, although I think we've done a wonderful job in like filling the gap, much needed gap that was needed. We have built over 40 solutions for the government in the past 13 years, and we are we have about 20 people in our team, and all Bhutanese developers. But I think we have not been able to scale, and that's the reason. When Anu invited me, I really took the opportunity. Otherwise, may not be really prepared. But one thing I'd like to highlight is that over the course of the years, we've done a lot of systems for the government, which has really, I think, strengthened the SDG goals. And one of the systems that we'd like to talk about is the e-litigation system, which we developed for the judiciary in Bhutan in the first lockdown in Bhutan due to COVID. And during that time, people are not able to access the justice system. As it is, Bhutan is such all the places have very small population and very far flung. So to get access to the court and all of that, where you have to go in person or through authorized representative, it becomes really difficult, a lot of burden to the citizens. However, COVID really showed that we needed a system where people can access justice even during these times. And that's where we came in and we developed the e-litigation system, which was a web-based platform to enable online filing of court cases, submission of documents, and even remote hearing of court cases using all online collaborative tools, video conferencing facilities, and back-end support with the case management system, which we had developed 6 years ago, as well as other collaboration tools. So we did a good job at that, and I think that has increased the access of justice to the people of Bhutan. As a result, now people can be anywhere in Bhutan and they're able to file the system. So this has greatly contributed to access of justice. And now the issue that we have here is, while we are able to develop so many wonderful products and solutions, and we've done so, we have a huge code base, repository of code, huge code base, but we're not able to get too many customers. As you know, Bhutan is such a small country. The private sector is very small, so the market base is so small. So the government remains our biggest customer. So we keep developing products for them, solutions for them. So we're like a service company, but we really want to transition now from where we are as a service company to a product company. We have like the eGov solution, which actually in this region, only Singapore has right now. And now Bhutan is launching also. So that's so we are one of the pioneer, trailblazers in this area. And we're in Bhutan, where we are close to India. And there's so many states. All those states have state governments and justice systems. I think even they would have required those kind of e-litigation systems, which we can deliver, which has already been tested in Bhutan and deliver at a very affordable cost, not only in Bhutan, but in India and Indian states, but even in Africa, and maybe trying to really go out of Bhutan and taking e-litigation system as example. But we have done so many wonderful systems for the municipalities, like asset management, revenue management, ERP for nonprofits. So, dashboards, document management systems. So we have a lot of knowledge base, and I think we're ready to go out. So we need support, not really in terms of capital right now or money, but really in terms of mentoring support, marketing support, and also to some extent in tech support, because now we'll also be looking at kind of upgrading our existing systems to the next generation, where we use emerging technologies like AI and blockchain. So while we're really pioneers in Bhutan, we're really backward in the rest of the world. I think we really need to grow. We have been 13 years in the market. We have persevered to now. So we would like to reach out to the network. And I think it's so wonderful that I know there's such wonderful, smart, intelligent, amazing women here. I think I can learn a lot from them, as well as from any mentoring support. That's really what my ask is today.
All right. Thank you, Yashi, and thank you for the background. And I know from our prep call, you are moving from very service-based company for the last 13 years to developing these products that you're hoping to expand and scale. In terms of expanding outside the country, other than the mentorship, of course, of how to do that, are you really looking for specific contacts in certain countries that may have, may be willing to take those conversations with you?
Yes, definitely. Sorry, I think I missed that out. Yeah. One thing I would like is channel partners as well, because what I find is everybody is trying to sell things to us. Like we have people from Sri Lanka, India, everyone's contacting us with very small solutions, very focused. So you can really get the ROI when you're doing that, right? For us, we've already spent so much, we have developed so much of IP, but we're not really able to, grow and earn on that. And I think we're at that stage where if we have people who can really help us in packaging our products and solutions and marketing, and of course the partnership in the markets, especially in India, and I think in this region and Africa would be excellent.
Yeah, fantastic. Daria, why don't we start with you? What stood out in Yeshi's story and pitch, and any connections or advice for her?
You know, I really enjoyed hearing your story and your story of building expertise in a service company, and the frustration of trying to transition to a product company is one that I've heard many, many times. And I think that it's very smart to kind of move forward and figure out what product it is that you want to focus on and move forward with it. But you know, I have a good friend who is an example of basically taking a service business and transitioning it to a very successful product business. Therese Tucker of Blackline Systems. I don't know if you can hear me. There's some feedback, but so I think that there's some great examples of doing what you're seeking to do. I do want to ask you a little about, it seems like e-litigation is your primary focus in what you disguise as a product that you could scale. And government contacts in India is what you're asking for, perhaps. How did your sales cycle in your government relationships develop in Bhutan, and how could that be replicated in India? That was my question.
Okay. Actually, many years ago, we had developed the case management system for the judiciary, which is used by the entire judiciary in the country. So when they needed to develop the case e-litigation system on an emergency basis, they came to us because we already knew all the processes, as well as we had developed the main back-end supporting system. So it was very easy for us to do that. But even if, I think most of the courts will have their own back-end system, but even just developing that e-litigation interface is very, we can do that because we're using all open source technologies, the latest open source technologies. So it's also very cost effective for them, and it's already been tested in Bhutan. So since there's no, I mean, like it's a new concept going forward in India and all, but the thing is the penetration is a bit hard, I think. So yeah, that's the thing. But along with that, there are many other tools which probably can even go to the private sectors and the mid-sized corporates. And why I say that is actually there are a lot of states in India which are not served by the huge IT companies underserved, let me say, by the huge IT companies in India, because those big companies are focusing on metros and maybe the bigger companies, and they're like small states, like I don't know if you call them frontier states, since I've heard about frontier markets, like maybe Sikkim, which is closer to us, as well as there's a market in that area, like the West Bengal area, which is closer to Bhutan and Assam and those small Meghalaya and now. But we are such a small country. We have only 700,000 people. But we are very focused in eGov solutions, which is even in Bangladesh and all, there's a huge market, I think, in Africa as well. So we really want to focus and see which one has market. Like e-litigation is just one of our examples, but with the huge code base that we have, definitely there's a lot of systems that maybe which would even be more like suitable to package. But we don't know how to do it because Bhutan, we are so inward looking, trying to serve our own small market. Now I think we really need to see, because it's our king's vision as well, that we go forward and develop as a data and tech company, but a tech country with, but because that's one of the areas where Bhutan may be able to grow, because we have our own challenges being landlocked, small country. So I think that's, so it's an attempt to see if we can grow out of Bhutan.
Fantastic.
And I don't have others and all like the previous people. So yeah, that's.
Got it. Thanks. Anu, you had a few comments?
So as we're looking into some of these countries in Africa and states in India, Yeshi, I would also look into small island states, because small island states share something very similar to you, which is the demographic, and also you have this opportunity to connect this technology that's working in your tiny country. So I would say any of the Caribbean islands. We just had a call last night with Indonesia. They have thousands of islands, as you know, And so there's women's cooperatives that are there, about 70,000 members, I believe, are part of this cooperative, and they are now looking into digitizing as well. And so, because they're so scattered and so spread out, and there's so many islands, I don't think there's a one solution that fits all right now. So I would look into small island states far, far away, and maybe that's a good stepping point. But Indonesia is not too far from you. And I'm going to reconnect with one of the women that was leading the session last night, and they're actually looking to collaborate and looking for partners as well. So looking for tech solutions. They're focused more on e-commerce. So we had a call in the previous session with the Global Women's Entrepreneurship panel, and Dante and I were talking about technologies from India coming into Bhutan and using Bhutan as a test market. So I would say this would be another opportunity for you to take your tech that's actually working and take it into island states potentially. Once you get endorsements, you're good to go.
I think that's the kind of collaboration that we're looking for, because you're a huge network with women from all over the world, right?
Absolutely.
So if you can leverage on that. And also the tech support a little bit, because there's so many interesting tech like AI and blockchain. And I think even for our existing clients, especially the government, it would be necessary to kind of move into that area, to upgrade into that thing as well.
Absolutely. Well done.
Fantastic. And Rachel, want to make sure we can hear anything that stood out or advice and comments.
So Yeshi, first of all, what an endurance run you've been on for 13 years. I have to applaud you for staying the course, and entrepreneur for this long is exhausting. And I just want to recognize that. I just want to say, like, it's hard work and you're doing great, and keep it up. Okay. So right off the bat, just, 13 years is a really long time. It's a lot of pressure. When I think about scaling technology, one of the first things I like to do is isolate what's the most difficult problem, like what's the pain point, and what's the largest magnitude. So which problem occurs the most and how bad is it, right? So if we're thinking about e-litigation services, what's the single most common case that is needed in order to address the large volume of cases that are out there? And that's just one example, because I know you do a lot of different things, but like e-litigation, is there an MVP, a minimum viable product type offering that you can create that scales down? Isn't the full range of customized bespoke services that you've built for the government, because governments are large, they're cumbersome, and the most expensive kind of engineering you can do is bespoke engineering. So what I'm trying to figure out is there a lightweight offering, something that captures the most common problems that have the highest intensity of pain, so to speak, that you can tailor your offering and create kind of a light version that you can then take out to other places? So one example might be property rights litigation, which is the single most common problem in the world. Another could be, issues, I think, Daria, are common services that are needed that are hard for the government to meet demand for. Maybe it's parking tickets? Is that the example, Daria? I don't know. But like, there's all these examples of like the most common problem that's needed to be solved, and where automation can provide a great amount of value. So I would try to isolate, like, what are the things that are causing the most headache? What's the frequency of those problems, and how ubiquitous are those problems? I mean, is there a way to tailor that into a streamlined offering that you can use as your entry point for a more sophisticated suite of technology services? Does that make sense?
Yes, I think I get what you're saying. Basically, if you can use either in components or modules or whatever, right? So I'm not, since e-litigation is kind of like a new product, I'm not really sure about that, because we have developed it for the client. But definitely from there, I think what we can do is, like, we have the dashboards, which I think, not only on e-litigation, but any company, anyone can use those analytics dashboard, one-stop info center. We've done that for so many of our government clients. I think that can be scaled. Then our document management systems, our collaboration management systems. We also have an ERP for nonprofit, which we have given to 2 nonprofits in Bhutan, which is possibly something that we can roll out to other places as well.
Yeah, and I think that's great, but you also want to think about the ability to pay. So if you want to get to a market and you want to scale an offering and you want to do that in a way that's profitable, sometimes I have found that technology services for nonprofits is a little bit harder. It's a long sales cycle. You don't really have good margins necessarily. It's a very fractured market. But what you said before, BI, business intelligence and dashboards, that's a very highly needed area right now by most organizations. You would be, though, competing against big dominant brands. So, you want to think about what's your target market? What's your sweet spot? Are you going to... Go ahead.
I think the main thing that we offer to the table is simple solutions. Many companies and governments, as well as many of the users, do not need such complex systems. Like, there are so many systems out there given by all these companies, and some are even free, but they're very complex to use. They're difficult to, so probably many of the things they don't need. But what we can really do is give very, be really, I can't find the word, but, do exactly what needs to be done and no more than that, because especially in this part of the world, many of the people are using tech for the first time. So when it gets complicated and there's not enough change management support, it really doesn't serve the purpose it's meant to. So I think what we can do is our solutions are very reasonable because we are mostly on open source. It's very simple because we do not put too many features that are not required, and we have been making, bespoke systems to customize to very, very finicky customers. So with that knowledge base and that kind of experience, I think we can give very light, simple solutions. I think that is where, and affordable. And that's why even the nonprofits we can target, because, we can, with the hosted model kind of thing, I think we will be in a position to give to even, I think, we'll not be able to go for very high-end, sophisticated kind of software because of where we're at as well and how people want to invest in software. But we can go for very, niche software, and possibly for, at a very reasonable price point where we're able to even customize a little bit for them. Because Bhutan, anyway, it's not like we, its services are expensive. I think even with India, we are much cheaper than them. Possibly, yeah. So I think because we'll be working from Bhutan, right, and the cost of living here is much less than elsewhere in the world as well. So I think those kind of thing we can bring to the table.
Yeah, that sounds great. I suggested a couple companies. Mixpanel does really wonderful work around building analytics dashboards and data visualization tools, but they're extremely expensive. And so if you can take sort of what's the best in class and then trim it down. Don't do too much custom engineering. Don't start there. Start with what's the core offering. And niche is great, but I don't want you to go too far down the path of going after these, very fractured markets. Try and find a market where there's some kind of concentration so you can have efficiency in your sales cycle as well.
Okay. So I think I'll have to learn more. I think that's the kind of mentoring we need because, as we go forward and develop our plan, I think if we can tie up with somebody who can give us some time on doing that, I think that'll be really wonderful because sometimes we also get lost. We know we can, but we don't know how to right now.
Yeah, if sometimes when you're that good and you have a team that is so talented, it's really hard from an engineering standpoint to have the discipline to say, no, we're not building this feature. No, we're not rolling out this offering. Instead, we're sticking to our core. And it's not necessarily the sexiest engineering work, but it is what will pay the bills. And so getting to a place where you can scale up an offering, and from there, you can roll out much more advanced features if needed, that helps you create a more a template for the sales cycle as well.
All right.
Fantastic. Well, that was amazing. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Daria. Thank you, Anu. And thank you, Yeshi. We are just about at time and we got through all 4 companies. So thank you so much for everyone's time and comments and also advice and suggestions in the chat. We're going to take anyone who commented there and make sure that it gets to the entrepreneur as well. And thank you. I'll pass it back to Anu for a wrap up.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. This was our first Global Venture Summit Dolphin Tank, and we hope we get to do this again with you guys at Springboard. We loved all of the presentations that were here today, still getting lots of feedback in my own WhatsApp chats and whatnot. So you were amazing, and please do follow up with us. And we look forward to following your progress in your work. So thank you for joining us today, and we hope this process was beneficial to all of you.
Great work, everyone.
Great work.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Daria. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.